At what point in the process do you want to be brought in? Is it from jump, from seeing scripts to we have something already filmed, we're working on the edit? When do you want to be brought in on the process to put your score to what you're doing on screen?
I think it depends. I mean, like if they want me to come in early and to help craft the tone, like that's so much fun because you get to just there's a lot of freedom in that and in crafting it. But then also if you read a script, you obviously get the gist of it and you understand what the story is, but the way that the writer wrote it they may have a different tone in mind than how you read it, and it all ends up depending on, again, the way the film's directed, what the actors do with it, what the sound design is. And so a lot of times you may read a script and then you watch the footage and the cut of it, and it's like, oh, I interpreted this or I imagined this in a different way. And other times it's like, oh, this is like the writing comes off exactly how. So it really just depends. But I don't know. I like both. I like both. Especially if you've.
Alex was talking about coming in like as soon as possible.
Yeah.
He wants as much time.
Yeah. Well, obviously, timeline-wise, yes, you want as much time as you can. But especially if they're people you've worked with before, you kind of have a sense for their taste and what they like. And if they have a strong idea of what they want musically, then it's you can come in as early as you can. And sometimes, I mean, like the Penguin theme I wrote while they were still shooting the first episode. So that was early, and then the rest of the score came along with it once I started getting cuts. But definitely, time is. I love having time. that's
as much time as possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how does inspiration strike you? Do you like read the script or watch something and it's in the moment, or is it making dinner the next day? And what hits you? Is it motifs? Is it soundscapes?
I ask myself that all the time because I feel like every time I'm starting something new, I'm like, how did I do this last time? I'd have what did I do? I don't know what I'm doing. But exactly. But for the Penguin, for example. Like one of the points of inspiration for me really was, I mean, like it was funny at the beginning. I was like looking up like videos of penguins and just listening to their vocalization. And like there was a part of me that was like, maybe I can try to like figure out to like replicate this musically. And I was very quickly realized that was a dumb idea. But when I was watching the film, and I got to be on the dub stage for portions of the film and some of Oz's scenes. I remember they were very particular about the sound of his brace on his foot, and someone made a comment of like, oh, well, I guess this is going to be in the series. This, and so I remembered that in his limp, and it brought me to the sound of a chain, kind of dragging a chain, like he's like dragging this metal with him that this pain, and so I knew pretty early on that I wanted that to be a part of it somehow, and I started playing with ideas. And then as I kind of started to, as I read the first script and started to dive deeper into his character, Oz is someone who wants more than what he has right now. He wants to be respected, he wants to be seen, and no one really takes him seriously. And he wants to be part of this higher society. And so I was like, all right, high society string quartet, but he's demonic, he's demented, and so I wanted to make something that was a little frenetic with the string section, and then I underscored it with a trash percussion kit to represent kind of his city roots and growing up, not in high society, kind of in the poorer parts of town. So it all became kind of a marriage of those three elements. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So for the Penguin, did you pull from like anything that you had, like maybe tumbling in your mind, or like previous work that you done, or was it all basically from scratch after you looked at the scripts?
It was all from. I mean, I had started with an idea that before I read it, and then I was and then when I read it, I was like, this is not going to work for it at all, and so it was really just starting fresh. But I was listening to, obviously the TV show had to feel like it was an offshoot of the film, so it had to be related. But on it, the film has this big, sweeping, elegant score for Batman, and so I knew I wanted the strings to be a part of it. But obviously Oz is, it's a TV budget, so it's a smaller ensemble, and Oz is an insane person. Not that Batman isn't, but he's a deranged. He's a deranged. He's got more evil to him.
This the songs that I wrote.
You released the instrumental EP Perseverance in 2021. Does personal music influence your film scoring?
Oh, totally. I mean, I love working on music for myself that no one will hear because I can kind of do whatever. And again, it's what I want to do. There's no box. But also it's my time to experiment and kind of play around with new ideas and new instrumentations, learn a new synth pad or patch again. And that project for me was really fun because, again, it was just something that I was just working on myself. I ended up using a lot of what I learned in kind of techniques or palettes in future projects, and actually on Skeleton, some of that made its way into Skeleton Crew. So I think personal projects are always a great place to explore and grow.
Can you talk about kind of blending the pirate aspect of Skeleton Crew into the Star Wars million?
Oh yeah, I mean, so obviously, this show is all about piracy, and I loved the Pirates of the Caribbean movies growing up. I loved the ride at Disneyland, and when I realized that I was like, oh, they will let me do very, very sea shanty-esque music in this, like in a Star Wars palette. I got so excited, I had written the pirate theme kind of has two parts to it. There's kind of the motif of the triple motif of like the and that first scene where they're boarding, I wrote a portion of it where that was focused all around that. And then came this moment, I forget if it came from me or if it was from John but I was like, you know what, it needs to be more piratey, and so I used that as kind of like a call and response theme, and I was like, well, why don't I just write a full-on pirate shanty and put it in the orchestra and see if they like it, and I played it for them in there, and luckily they were really into it, and I think actually it was around episode 2 that theme really developed into what it became when they landed at the pirate port, so then I actually ended up going back to episode 1 and reworking that first cue to use this new theme, and again, it was just an absolute blast.
To make it so perfect that it covers pirates, adventure, kids, all of that stuff.
I mean, I think it's just I love all that stuff. I love the Goonies. I love Star Wars, obviously, Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, all those old Amblin shows or films, and again, getting the opportunity to just write a full-on bombastic pirate theme, I was like, all right, I'll start, and we'll use some pirate instruments. We'll use some, mandolins and mandocellos and all of that, and then blend it with the orchestra. It's just always exciting to blend these worlds, and obviously you have the grandness and the operatic qualities of Star Wars, and I mean, I don't know. It was just all of my favorite influences and shows as a kid kind of just came together into one, and it's really just a love letter to all of that.
How did you develop a soundscape that complements Gotham but still stands apart from the Batman?
Sorry, can you say that one more time?
Sorry, how did you develop a soundscape that complements Gotham but still stands apart from the Batman?
Yes. Okay. So the Batman again. It's very much a minimalist score. There's a lot of repetition and a lot of kind of building off of a single idea and evolving from that. And Matt Reeves loves that stuff. There would be reviews where I'd be playing music, or I'd be playing a cue that I wrote, and Matt was like, oh, what about this little thing right here? What if you just repeat it over and over again? And I'm like, really? Is that not going to get boring? He said, no, trust me. And we would have these moments of I would be like, oh my God, this is going to be so boring. And then like you repeat the whole thing, and suddenly there's this tension and kind of this growing, it makes you lean in a little bit, because it's almost trance-like where you start to feel the music more, and as you start to subtly add layers to it, you kind of build tension with it, and so I absolutely loved what my dad did with the film, and so I wanted to build off of that. And again, having Matt and Lauren also love that, and so Matt would give the types of notes that he would give on the film as well, and so that kind of all helped keep the two married, but also doing a little bit of its own thing as well with Oz, because he's not as elegant as Bruce is or Batman, and it's more Batman. Lauren always said Batman's looking down on the city, Oz is looking up from down below.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
On the same note, then, but back to the pirates and outside influences, besides referring to the film, were there other kind of noir elements that you brought?
Yeah, I mean, Psycho. I listened to Psycho a lot because I was like, well, this guy's a psycho, and I love that score, the prelude.
Yeah.
But that was the other thing too, is I knew that because we had a smaller budget, we wouldn't have like the full brass section, and so I wanted to focus more on the strings, and I was like, this, can be the sound of the show. While we have some brass moments, the strings are really the core of the score there, and so that was definitely, I was listening to a lot of Nart Herman.
Well, always good to listen to.
Yeah. He's the best. He's the best.
Are you able to watch and enjoy the things you've worked on?
Sometimes. I can't. Given enough space, I'm like when I watch it like right afterwards, I'm just like, oh.
I could have done that so much better.
I was at an event last night where Richard Kind was talking about the ride home. Is what he calls it. And he's like, it's like after a day of shooting, you're in the car on the way home, and you're like, God, why didn't I do that? And so if I watch something that's too close to like when I finish it, I'm like, oh God, what happened here? Or why didn't I do this? And so usually when you give it space, it's kind of, you get to look at it like a moment in time for yourself rather than being so close in proximity and the anxiety of like, oh, I could have changed this.